ago, in the barony of Frankenstein, a monster created by man stalked through the country, meaning killing. In time, Frankenstein, maker of the monster, died. The monster disappeared. Now, after 20 years, the son of Frankenstein returns, and fear grips the village anew. A man tainted by the blood of his father can forget his human soul and carry on the diabolical work of the Frankenstein.
As a man, I shall destroy him. But as a scientist, I should do everything in my power to bring him back to conscious life.
Benson, turn on the generator. Produced on a vast scale, Universal Son of Frankenstein represents the most fearsome cast in the history of the screen. Basil Rathbone, in his heart, warm human emotions. In his mind, the monster mania.
It's alive.
Alive, you mean?
Yes, alive.
I thought you said our experiments
I know. I do thought we failed, but we haven't. I've actually seen it walk.
Karloff, rising from the past to spread new terror. Lugosi, sinister, mysterious, evil.
You see that? They hanged me once.
Lionel Atwill, grim hatred in his blood.
One doesn't easily forget, Herr Baron. An arm torn out at the roots.
Josephine Hutchinson, her young beauty a magnet to the menace around her.
I hate it here, Wolf. I'm terribly afraid all the time.
By heaven, I think you're a worse fiend than your father. Where is this monster? Where is he? I'll stay by your side until you confess. And if you don't, I'll feed you to the villagers.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 25 of 31 Days of Monsters. We're going to talk about Universal's Son of Frankenstein, 1938. Universal had stopped making monster movies around 1935. There was a British ban on them, on their import, and that was a big market for Universal for the horror films, and so they decided to get out of it. And then actually this was 1939. 1938, they re-released Frankenstein and Dracula, and it did really well. And they decided, well, you know what, let's give it another shot. And this is the first one out of the gate, and this one ushered in the new era of Universal monster movies. It lacks some of the poetic fantasy of Bride of Frankenstein, which, you know, many critics think is the greatest of them all. I'm not among them. That one just doesn't do it for me. I think the fantasy goes too far. You're asked to accept way too much in that film for me. But what Son of Frankenstein lacks in that respect, it makes up for in amazing characters and some really, really great expressionist art direction. Look at that. There's angles everywhere. Who would live in a house like this? But it works great in this movie. Look at that hallway. It's minimalist. It's defined by its shadows. You know, this is pure German expressionism, and it works just wonderfully in this film. It really separates it from the first two. The other beauty of this film, of course, is the addition of Karloff. This is his last run in the movies as the Frankenstein monster, and he's the best. There's just no two ways about it. You know, Karloff, his Frankenstein didn't lumber You know, when it walks slow sometimes, but when it needed action, boy, he was at it. You know, he wasn't just, you know, lumbering towards you. He'd run, and he was scary. He was the scariest of the monsters. You know, he showed expression. He showed anger and fear and hatred. And you know, his emotions were very clear. You know, he was much more, for lack of a better term, human than the automaton that the monster became following Karloff's run. The other beauty of this movie, is that Bela Lugosi steals this show. The character of Igor in this movie wasn't really in the script, and Roland Lee, the director, you know, he really wanted more Lugosi in there, and they were rewriting the script as they went along, as they made this movie, and adding more and more Lugosi to it. And Bela sort of made up this character out of whole cloth, and he's really, really amazing in it. When he's confronting the people that hanged him, you know, and he says, he spits on this one guy, and he says, "Oh, sorry, I got bone stuck in throat," you know, and his bone is sticking out of his neck here, you know. He's amazing. It's so great. The fun part about this movie too is Basil Rathbone, because his histrionics know no bounds. He is so over the top chewing scenery that it's no wonder that Mel Brooks took this particular film. He swiped a bunch of stuff in Young Frankenstein from the various Frankenstein movies, but he took the most, I think, from Son of Frankenstein. Having Kenneth Mars as the one-armed inspector, just like the Lion Latwell character in this one. The dart scene where Gene Wilder and Kenneth Mars are playing darts. And, you know, when I watch the scene in this movie, I just can't help but think of, you know, the darts going out the window and flattening the tires and stuff, just like in the Mel Brooks film. But that's part of the charm of this. Part of the fun is that Basil is just so over the top. The little boy in this film, Donnie Dunnigan, he was from Texas, and so we've got Basil Rathbone speaking the King's English. We've got Josephine Hutchison speaking that sort of phony Hollywood American / English accent. And then we got Donnie Dunnigan with his little Texas accent. And you wonder, where did this family hang out together? You know, did they ever talk? Where did this kid get this accent? But the cool thing about Donnie Dunnigan, he's still with us. He's 86 years old. And in my research for this show today, I found out that Donnie Dunnigan was also the voice of Bambi. And but more than that, when he grew up, he became a lifelong Marine. He retired out of the Marine Corps as a major. He saw 3 tours of combat in Vietnam. He received 3 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. And and here's the thing: he never told any of his Marine Corps friends that he was the voice of Bambi, because he knew that if he let them know, that would have been his tag. You know, they would have tagged him as Bambi, and it would have been all over for him. But yeah, so I thought that was really cool to find out what he ended up doing with his life. You know, just became a real American hero. So he fought the Kong in the Nam, and he fought Frankenstein's monster. Good for Donnie. Let's see, what else did I miss in here? Here's a great shot of Boris with his fur coat. And Bela, you can see the broken neck bone here. This is outstanding. Again, Jack Pierce makeup. The monster has grown his hair back since Bride of Frankenstein, because it burned off in that one. most of it burned off, and we could see, all these clasps were exposed in Bride of Frankenstein. And Boris turned 51 when he made this film, so he was getting up there. He had back problems from the first shoot of Frankenstein, and he also didn't like the direction that the monster was going. He thought it was becoming more of a there was less pathos and less characterization. He's just becoming basically a killing machine. And so that's when he decided, well, he was going to hang up the electrodes, if you will. He obviously, not quite as lean as he was in the first one, which was 8 years earlier, but he never looked quite like he did in the first one. And again, that's the best. Let's see, did I capture everything here? Oh yeah, here he is. I meant to show this when I was talking about Donnie. Here is his little boy when he was doing the voice of Bambi. So this is a few years, what, 3 years? Bambi in 1941, I think. After he'd done Son of Frankenstein, and here he is in the Marine Corps in the 1960s. So pretty cool stuff. This is a great film. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's fun to watch the three together, the three Boris Frankensteins. Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and Son of Frankenstein. And after that, it becomes problematic. So let us see who has joined us this morning on this lovely Sunday morning. Shadowhawk is here, and he gets to see 2 live ones in a row. Okay. Excellent. George Travalos is in here. Good morning. Don Perkage, good morning. Hyper Kaiju is here. Good morning. Greetings, everyone. Rob says, and Benson, turn on the generator. George says, I heard a rumor that Graham finished the first 48 pages of the Chenoo. Not sure if that's true or not. The only thing he needs to do now is the 8-page stretch goal portion. Yes, I can confirm that rumor as truth. On Friday, I finished the last page of the main story. I'm going to be designing the beer can logo for 42 North for their Chenoo Brew beer early this week, and then I'll be jumping on the last 8-page bonus story. So yeah, we're moving along really great on the Chenoo. Still time to get on board if you haven't done so already, my friends. I will put I'll put the link in the comments section here for anybody who would like to check out the campaign and get on board. Voila. Shadowhawk, hail Graham. I was really happy to hear you might read us a Joe Frankenstein. You've laid the groundwork for an epic tale. Yeah, Joe was never meant to be a one-shot, one and done. There's other stories to be told there. What happened with Joe Frankenstein was that it was originally published through IDW, and it just didn't get the love there that we thought it should have. So we had all the rights revert to us, to Chuck and I, and at some point, I think we'll definitely revisit it. My publishing plan right now is to I'm going to do. I've got four properties that I want to launch under my Compass Comics banner, and each one is a spin-off of the next, because I don't want to do sequels or ongoing storylines. I want to do one and done stories, but in each one of those stories, I will introduce a new character or new characters or concepts that will dovetail into the next one, so that it all they all connect together. But you don't have to have you don't have to have read any of the previous ones. So it's like Easter eggs that set up the next story or the next project. And I think it's a really cool way to kind of integrate a universe without, having to, buy issue after issue of the same book. So it's something new, it's something different, and I'm going to try it with my publishing arm. So there will be a spin-off of the Shinu. Let's see. Hyper Kaiju says, I love when a campaign gives a good bookmark. Yeah, the Shinu bookmark is really cool, I gotta say. It's pretty darn neat. Let me see if I can show that to everybody here. Here we go. All right, so there's the snow globes. There's the main cover. Here's the variant cover. And some pages here. Where's our bookmark? There we go. So, got to kind of scroll because you can't see the whole thing. So the Shinu is looking over a book, and it's got blood on it, and it says you left off here to remind you. Yeah, so that's the cool bookmark. Monster Fan says, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Cool Cotton, good morning. Oh, another fan of the Shinu bookmark. Very cool. Hyper Kaiju likes the bookmark for the Expendables. I haven't seen that one. Victor Thomas, good morning. Ash and Jackal, good morning. Glad you can make it. Isn't it pronounced Frankenstein? Little toss off to the Mel Brooks. Young Frankenstein, nice. Jasper Plan 9 says Bela. Steve Lowenthal, good morning. If you can see this on Facebook, stop watching it on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Jasper Plan 9 says, hey, chat. Shadowhawk is pimping Joe Frankenstein for me. Yeah, you can get the hardcover book is still available that collects all the stories and has a prologue in it. It's still available on Amazon. Jasper also likes the Son of Frankenstein, and he's not a fan of the Bride. Interesting. Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of the Bride. I like it, but it's not my go-to. Like I said, it's got some problems with it that bother me. James says this is his favorite of the Frankenstein theory because of Igor. MC Escher would, yeah. Oh, we got a Joe Frankenstein sale. Good. Well, that'll help IDW out. This last night. Why was the train station named Frankenstein if the locals hate it? Yeah, that's a good question. In the first two movies, the village wasn't called Frankenstein. It was Ingolstadt, I think. Yeah, this movie opens with like the town board or whatever they're called, the Burgermeister and his crew, and they're railing against the return of Frankenstein's son to the village and all that. And haven't we suffered enough? Blah blah blah. And yet they still live in a town called Frankenstein. You'd think that the village fathers might have changed the name or something if they hated it that much. Good point. The sets resemble those in Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Expressionism at its best. Indeed. Very much so. Yeah, when they're riding on the train in the beginning, when Basil Rathbone and Josephine Hutchinson are heading to the town of Frankenstein. Out the window, it looks like no man's land from World War One. There's all these like lone, straggly trees that looks like they've been blown up by a bombardment of artillery fire. There's fog and stuff, but it's not like a stand of trees. It's like individual trees that missed the bombing, but just got, blown up a bit. It's very creepy. And it's like, if you were on a train and that was what you're heading towards, you'd be like, I got to get off somewhere because this town looks, this area is horrible. Hyper Kaiju says Bela Lugosi makes any movie better. Such a talent. Couldn't agree more. I've mentioned before in other broadcasts how, regardless of what the movie is, you can't take your eyes off Bela. He had that magnetism. Whatever that it is, that translates through a screen, he had it. James Allen says, Igor is the most diabolical villain, not driven by love or limited mental capacity. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's conniving. He's using the monster to get some of his enemies out of the way. Nice grouping. Young Frankenstein reference where the one-armed gendarme is he takes all the darts and he sticks them in the bullseye when young Frankenstein isn't looking, and then he takes his arm and goes makes the noise like they're hitting the dartboard. It's hysterical. I love Basil as Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, he was Sherlock Holmes. Hyper Kaiju says, "What a badass." He's referring to Donnie Dunnigan. A man's man, James Allen says. One of the best casts of any Universal monster movie, I think. Yeah, this is a who's who of monster fans with Lionel Atwill there. On the credits, when it comes up, it says, Rathbone, Karloff, Lugosi, Atwill, in big letters. It's like, wow. I mean, the Wolfman had a who's who cast too. Claude Rains, Ralph Bellamy, Patrick Knowles, Lon Chaney Jr. That was a A-list cast too. Sometime when I'm scrolling through the chat here, it just skips right down to the bottom, and I got to go backwards again. Okay, here we go. Permanent back problems from that costume. Yeah, well, the back problems came because James Whale made him carry oh God, what's his name? The guy who played Henry Frankenstein in the original, Colin Clive, made him reshoot that scene like 20 times, carrying him up the windmill steps, and it just ruined his back. That plus the heavy, he had these asphalt spreader boots on, that were like this thick, very heavy. Shadowhawk says, Return to Monster Island is fun, but I think Joe Frankenstein has major potential. Well, thank you. Don Perkins says, his favorite Frankenstein was Robert De Niro, but I've been told I am alone with that one. Yep, you're alone. Fortunately, that is true in many cases. Oh, George is happy about the news of the Chenoo. He's very excited about this book. Well, I'm glad. Jasper Plan 9, good morning. I've been promoting this channel on every stream I'm in. I want to get you monetized, Graham. Well, thank you, Jasper. I appreciate that. I do too. I put out some posts today about it, and picked up a few more subscribers. We're at 900 and, I don't know, 10, 15, something like that now. Oh, well, let's see. Shadowhawk says we only need 82 more subs for 1,000. Okay, excellent. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting a lot of Shinu talk today. That's good. I'm glad everybody's jazzed about it, because I am. I'm having the most fun in my career is working on this book. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I was showing my wife Julie the final page, and I told her what the dialogue was, and she was like high-fiving me. She goes, "Oh my God, that's so great! What a great ending!" I'm like, I can't wait for people to read it. Jasper likes Karloff in the Val Lewton films, especially The Body Snatcher and Bedlam. I like Karloff in just about anything. He like Bela makes every movie great. I'm just not a huge Val Lewton fan myself. Shadowhawk says Bela's eyes were hypnotic. His eyes were hypnotic, but his hands too. Do you ever notice his hands? What he does with them? He had long hands, like a pianist would, and very, very expressive. You know, like when he's touching the monster in this one, or when he's Dracula and he does this stuff with it. You know, I mean, you know, I got stubby hands. You know, I got Frankenstein hands, but Bela had these really great, long, expressive hands, and he could do so much with them. Doggone it, it just skipped on me again. Body thief, not body snatcher. No, you were right the first time. It's body snatcher. Dennis says the Chamber of Commerce in the village of Frankenstein had a really tough job to bring new businesses in. Rob Fellows says his notification just popped up 20 minutes in. Huh. Would that be your notification from YouTube or from Facebook? I'm suspecting YouTube, because Facebook I know posted, you know. That's weird. Invisible Man is another one I revisit every year. The remake wasn't great, but I did like Verhoeven's The Hollow Man. Yeah, the James Whale one is great. I love that one. I haven't seen that one in a couple of years. That will definitely be on next year's 31 Days of Monsters. Okay, let's see. If I guessed on EVS, I'll get over 1,000. Oh, I'm sure. Ethan has a huge, huge following. Little political commentary there. Best Frankenstein was John Kerry. Can you tell us all the ending of the Shinu right now? We promise not to tell anyone. Yes, at the very end, it says the end. Yep, there you go. Get Gary from Nerdrotic to mention you on Friday Night Tights, and you will break 1,000. He used to own a comic book store back in the day. Oh, okay. I don't know Gary, and I don't know that show, but I will have to look into it. As Bo Hopkins said in The Wild Bunch, you can kiss my cat's black ass. My black cat's ass. It's funny how in the Bela Lugosi DVD collection, Karloff stars in every film. Is that so? Or was that the collection of the two of them that collected all their movies together? Because I have a Bela one. That's got that's a collection of Bela movies, and it's got Murders in the Rue Morgue on it, which is like his consolation prize for turning down Frankenstein. Let's see. Johnny Rando says, hopefully this channel will evolve into 365 days of monsters. Oh my God, that's a lot of work. George says, since you won't be talking Invisible Man, did you ever see The Invisible Woman from 1941? Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that one. There's also Invisible Agent, too, that they made during the war when the Invisible Man becomes, fights against the Nazis. Len 3, finally up early enough to catch one of these live. Hello from West Seneca. Can't wait for the Canoe and the beer event. Oh, excellent. Well, yeah, at West Seneca, you'll be able to drive over to 42 North. I think Gary just hit over 300,000 subs. Wow. That's killer. Someday. Okay. Well, I think I said good morning, everybody. Let me just scroll backwards. I don't want to miss anybody again. Sometimes, for whatever reason, people come in on the backside of things. It's like there's a delay or something. Well, I think I got everything here. A couple new comics just came in. Let's see. Okay, the Green Laser. AZ gave Graham the shout out on Nerdrotic's Friday Night Tight Show. That's how I found him here. Well, I know AZ. Is that the same show? Nerdrotic's Friday Night Show? Is that the same show? Yes, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. It's an evening show. Chuck Dixon and I will be talking about his favorite monster movie, which is Tremors. Which is a fun, comedy horror with Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon. So that will definitely be a fun one. Yeah, that's the Heels versus Babyface. I know him. Yeah, he's a good guy. I've been on his show before. Shadowhawk says, hail CG. Everyone have a great week. You too, Shadowhawk. Yeah, I got the Frankenstein Legacy set, and it's great. Yeah, that's what I watched this on. I've got the Legacy set, too. I got the Legacy for the Mummy movies, too. Okay, gang. Well, that should do it for Son of Frankenstein. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we will be talking with the one and only Chuck Dixon about Tremors. So you don't want to miss that one. Chuck and I go back a long, long time, and we'll probably be going into various routines and offshoots of other things. And you can shoot out any questions you may have for us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can guarantee you that. So thanks again for tuning in this morning. I'll see you tomorrow night for Tremors with Chuck Dixon. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend.